one of the things I'd like to challenge or ask is, what is black love?
Good question.
Is there something called black love, or is it just love? And whether or not our wording influences our behavior.
Good. I hear people say one or two things. God is love, which I truly believe unequivocally, without a shadow of a doubt.
Sure.
And love is an action word. I hear those two things often. When you attach an adjective like black love to that, I think the difference between black love and white love and Hispanic love and Asian love, it could very well just be how we're raised, how we are taught about what love is, how love is defined in our culture, how love is defined in our household. To some, love is defined as a two-parent household with a dog and a white picket fence. For us, love is defined as, for some of us, love can be defined as my mother will spend her last $5 to make sure I eat and she goes without a meal. So I see a single woman, I see her struggle to meet the needs of the household, but she makes sure that I have. I think black love, it doesn't begin or end with a marriage or a relationship between two significant others or man and woman. I think it begins in the home with the parent or the guardian, and how unspoken actions, the non-verbal communication is just as strong, if not stronger, than the words.
Right.
And so, if in a white household, a woman is taught to go after the successful man, but in a black household, a woman is taught to, no matter whether you have the man or not, you need to make sure that you have what you need to keep it. It just really varies, I think, from birth to now how your love is defined. But now, let me say this. I do also believe that
You're entitled to two.
I'm entitled to two.
You are
my
the
show,
hostess.
right?
Yeah, you are the hostess.
This is my show.
Yes.
I do also believe that across ethnic and gender lines and nationalities and there are things that you just don't do. I don't think love is abuse and hitting and pulling down. I don't think love is selfish. I don't think it's all about I, me, us. How is it going to be? No matter what color you are, black, blue, green, I don't believe that's what it is. I do believe it's a sacrifice. I do believe that it's somewhat of a compromise, merging 2, 3, or 4 people together for a common purpose. And I believe with the common purpose, there's a common end to it, whatever it is.
You said something very interesting. You said that white women, well, you didn't talk about white women as much as you talked about black women, and how we are taught more to be independent, and whether a man's there or not, we need to get it for ourselves. And I guess the question becomes, is that a reflection of the 45% of black women in America that have never been married?
Sure.
I think it is. I think
it
it definitely is. I want to go back to something Shashira said. I think it's the understanding of what love is. I'm not trying to get deep, but there is agape and there is eros.
Come on with the agape.
Agape is I love you no matter what. I love you, and you don't have to do anything for me. You don't have to call my name. You don't have to do anything for me. That's real love. That's how God loves us. But then too many of us have this eros love. In other words, I love you because I'm looking for something back.
Right.
And if you go into a relationship loving somebody because you want something back, it's really not a relationship.
Sure.
I need to have somebody who has agape love for me. It's not about what I do for you. It's not about what I give back. You just love me because you've got that kind of love spirit inside of you. At that point in time, the love we share can be limitless.
Right. I think that's very good, and that's why I prompted the conversation around black love. But I guess the question becomes, can you obtain that type of love or share that type of love when we haven't gotten to a place of self-acceptance
or haven't experienced it? What if you have not experienced that, and just because you haven't experienced it, one, you may not be able to reciprocate that to anyone. That's number one. And so you don't know what that is in return. But it does not mean, and Troy wants to jump in, it does not mean that you're not worthy of receiving it.
Well, love doesn't occur in a vacuum. It occurs within a context.
Yes.
Sure.
And when you ask what is black love, you're getting back to where I was going, was that, ideally, love is pure. And in a perfect world, we can just concentrate on you loving me, me loving you. But we don't live in that kind of world. We live in a real world where love exists. And you asked about black love. Black love exists in vis-a-vis white, in a white society where race is relevant. And not only, I mean, if you want to get into it sociologically, race is relevant to love. Economics is relevant to love. It's easier for rich people to love than poor people because poor people have more economic pressure to.
It is.
Hold it. Wait. Doesn't money affect relationships significantly, or the lack thereof?
Money is not the cure.
And love doesn't conquer money oftentimes.
Money is not the cure, but money and I'm glad you mentioned that. Money and the interference of other family members are the top two reasons of a poll that I looked at that black relationships fall apart.
Yeah.
Okay, and I don't even think it's just black relationships, especially when we're talking about finances.
Right.
But I don't know if it's money or how we relate to money.
Or manage it.
But absolutely, and how we
understanding of it.
Absolutely, I think it's really all about going back to the core piece. Sure. You know, around what is love?
You asked what is black love, and you were asking, saying something about black people relating to each other, loving each other, and lack of love within ourselves. So where does that lack of love stem from?
I think it goes back to Shira's point.
No, you're on it. No.
Yeah, I get it. And I think it goes back to Shira's point when she talked about how we have learned to love and our culture, etc. But that does not mean that we're not accountable nor to learn. You know, as we grow and unfold and become who we really are in terms of connecting with ourselves, then that's when we learn how to really love. So because we haven't been taught something, you may have never learned how to use this radio equipment, but you learned at some point of your life. You didn't just come out that way.
But somebody has to teach you.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
Somebody has to teach you, absolutely, and there are a lot of venues where you can learn, but above that, nobody can teach you like you can teach yourself. And what do I mean by that? Let me explain that. Let me explain that. Ultimately, our relationship, how I have learned, certainly my parents love me, my brother and sisters love me, but they have disappointed me, they've hurt me, etc. Right. Where did I go to really find love? Myself in God. Mm-hmm. And it was in that place.
God, I can agree with.
And that's my point. We learn through connecting with who we really are, which is the God inside of us.
We love from our experiences.
Absolutely, but ultimately we can't allow our experiences to dictate how we love, because if we allow our experiences to dictate how we love, we'll end up like what Troy talks about, which is in this realistic, we say this is the world. This is I'm looking at Tashira right now, and she's a beautiful girl, well dressed, got those eyelashes on, but Tashira is much deeper than that. I mean, before the show we were connecting and she was real, and we talked about things on a soul level. Sure. That's the real Tashira, not the person I see. Right. And so ultimately, I hear what you're saying. I hear what all of us are saying, but I think ultimately it has to go back to a spiritual connection. And when we're disappointed by people around us, we have to connect with the God in us, because that is the place. It's there that we find the love.